morning, everybody. Hope everybody is having a good day today. I'm getting ready to work on a project for my upcoming free pattern review video, episode number 30, where I am going to be making some very interesting little creatures, animals, all sorts of things. And while I'm working on one of the patterns that is featured in the video today, I want you guys to try to guess the theme of the free pattern review video if you can, because normally I try to theme the videos. Sometimes we do like market prep friendly videos, sometimes we do character themed videos or like different holiday themed videos. So there's a theme for this FPR video and I want you guys to try to guess it. As you can see behind me in the background, we have some of the creatures made already, and I'm going to send the name of this pattern in the chat. It's the Mini-Corn Snuggler handmade by Jody, and I'm getting ready to make the worsted weight version of that, and here is my color palette for that. We have this yellow, which is like a embroidery floss sized yarn. And then we have these three colors over here I'm going to use to make, I didn't even say what this is for. This is for the horn on the unicorn because it's a smaller sized yarn, but everything else is made with the same size, larger weight yarn. So I'm going to get ready to make that today. But good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bree. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Jen. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And good morning, Laura. What is everybody working on today? I always like to ask that in the video because normally when people are joining my live, they are working on something, whether it be, whether it be a project, like a crochet project, or if they're actually working and they're just having my voice on in the background to kind of keep you company while you work today. So let me know what you're doing. Bree, it is to do with mystical animals. You got that right off the bat. I'm really surprised. I have been releasing some hints already, obviously, with like the unicorn snugglers behind me, but I also posted yesterday some pictures of the other pattern that was featured in the video, and it's actually the whole reason that I themed the video after mystical creatures, because of that pattern in particular. So if you haven't seen that, go over to my Instagram, look at what I posted yesterday, because that is what I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna do any spoilers if people don't want to know what else has been in the pattern, so in the video so far, not the pattern. Bree says, I am hiding ends. One my daughter Stardew Valley blanket. Ooh, very nice. I'm getting started here and I'm trying. Oh, I don't even have to do a magic ring. I'm already having to frog my work, guys. Off to a wonderful start this morning. Catherine says, I'm making a hat for my new granddaughter. She's 6 days old. Well, congratulations. Is that your first granddaughter? That's really exciting, though. Congratulations. Jen says, just finished the penguin. By the way, Jen is one of my testers for my chili penguin pattern, which is also behind me. That's getting tested right now, and it's going to get released this Saturday, the 17th. So I'm really excited to have Jen in the chat. She's wonderful, and she made a very, very, very cute penguin. And she says she's going to start on a little cow this afternoon. Well, that'll be fun. I need to do single crochets across this chain. I just gotta remind myself as I go, otherwise I'd just like sit here messing with this little chain that I'm working on and not actually making any progress on this. Laura says I'm working on a wire wrapped crystal rings. Okay, like rings that go on your hand, or are they like earrings? That sounds really cool though. Jen says congratulations to Catherine. That is so sweet. They're so tiny. Yeah, that's really sweet. I need to count how many stitches I'm putting into this. Okay, I need to do 4, I think. Kaylee says, I also started a 6-day star blanket yesterday, so we'll see if I ever finish it. That's gonna be really cool. I haven't made a star blanket, but those are really, really pretty. I have to the right of me in one of my mini bins that sits beside my desk, I have a granny stitch blanket that I'm working on when I'm not in my work hours. So like at the end of every day I will be like watching videos, or I'll be playing like video games. Right now I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy, and in the cutscenes and like all of the scenes where I have to talk to different characters and things like that, I've been working on this granny stitch blanket. And let me know if you guys want me to take it out and show you it so far. I'm using chenille yarn, and it's mostly like Big Twist, or the fake Big Twist, which is that Michael's version of it. And I'm also using like Moja Dream Marshmallow and things like that. I really, really, really hope I just did this right. Hold on, gotta count stitches. We got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's too many in that stitch. I can't do things at the same time, guys. Hold on. And then I gotta do 2 and then 3. Okay. We're back on track, guys. I didn't want to mess that up and then have to frog everything later. Okay. And Catherine says number 3. So grandchild number 3. That's awesome. Bree says that penguin looks so cute. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to release it. I've had it, like the pattern, written up for a really long time, because it was a commission that I did for a business, and initially the first version of the project, it's very similar, except like there were very specific colors for the hat, and it also didn't have a scarf. But it's a logo for a frozen yogurt company out of Nacogdoches, which is in East Texas, and they wanted some little penguins to put in their store to let customers buy if they wanted to. So I made some in the original layout, which is with the Chili Fillmore penguin like original colors, which is green and orange, and then they also wanted like some with pink and white hats, and then they also wanted some that had the university that's there. They wanted one with like the colors for that university because it's a lot of college students that go there. So I've had the pattern for a while now, and I finally got around to writing it up, and then I was like, you know what? It's got to go out at some point. I don't know what it is about making a tester call and actually having to do all the prep work that goes behind that, but sometimes that's really intimidating to me, and I get like paralysis and don't actually ever do it. So there are several patterns that I have like written, but I have to either put them in Canva and make it like look pretty and make it make sense for everybody and not just me. And there's also like a lot of pattern ideas that I have that I just haven't gotten around to writing. Just because all of that is very intimidating, but if I just force myself to do it, people seem to like the patterns, so I don't know what my issue is. Jen says, thank you, Cassie, always a pleasure to get to work with you. Well, thank you. And Lab says, finger rings. Okay, well that's really cool. I've never done any like wire work with jewelry or anything like that before, but it's always like really intricate looking and beautiful. Oh, I should be doing increases, not just regular stitches. Jen says, I'd love to see it. Oh, you want to see the blanket. You're right. Let me show you. I gotta dig it up really quick. It's underneath my yarn bag, and I've got a lid on the tote so that I don't work on it when I'm not supposed to be working on it. But here it is so far. It's like long enough. It's supposed to be like throw blanket size. So it's long enough that it could like drape around me and then have, I guess, 1.5 or 2 feet of excess on either side, so that if my husband wants to share it with me, because always what happens is like I will take out a blanket because I'm cold, and then he wants to share the blanket with me, so then I have to make some room for him. So this is what it looks like so far. This is my entire color palette right here. I just wanted it to be like really colorful because my living room is really colorful. We have lots of really intense impressionism art in our house, and intense impressionism, if you're not aware, it's basically super saturated colors that you wouldn't actually see in real life, just taking the colors that people already see that are really beautiful and just like bumping up the saturation and vibrance a lot. So I am wanting to do a little bit of a makeover of my living room, making pieces to tie into the art that's already in my house and in the combined living room and kitchen area. So this is one of the pieces, and I'm wanting to do like pillow covers because the pillows that are on my couch right now are always covered in dog hair because my dogs like to lay on the couch, and not only that, but they just like don't really tie into the decor really at all. So I'm hoping to just kind of bring out some of that really potent color that I already have displayed in my living room. And I've also recently discovered a YouTuber that I really enjoy watching, and I need to go find her channel really quick so that I can link it, but she does like home decor makeovers, and they're so awesome. What is her name? Caroline Winkler. So I'm gonna grab her channel really quick and I'll link it in the chat. But I love what she does. She's so like...
Greetings, men of Reddit.
Sorry, you probably just heard her voice. But here is that channel link if you are not aware of who that is. But she is amazing, and she's got like a Victorian style home in Washington, D.C., and she's just been like slowly flipping it and redecorating it to make it exactly what they need, her and her fiance, and it's always just like really nice to watch. I've been really enjoying it, like taking a step into a niche that I'm not like really familiar with at all, and just learning more about it, and you know, feeling a little bit inspired to do that with my own space, just like making it better. Like one of the series that she does is room makeovers that are like you don't buy anything for them. So it's like taking pieces from different rooms in your own house, or like reorganizing a room and just making it completely look different and make it more functional and more beautiful overall as well. So I've been really enjoying watching those videos recently. Let me know if you guys have heard of her before. I've also been watching Mia Maples, which I was really excited to see that in one of Caroline Winkler, one of her videos, she was actually watching Mia Maples in the background, which was so cool because I love Mia Maples too. And she makes more like review videos of like products, which is just a completely different end of the spectrum, I guess, but still really cool. Catching up on the chat here, we have Kaylee. She says, have you guys seen the Bernat Fab yarn? It's so pretty, but it's such a scam. Oh, I have not heard of that. I'm gonna look it up right now. Bernat Fab. Oh, so it's like t-shirt yarn. Yes, I have seen this. Let me share my screen for those of you who have not seen it. I gotta crop my screen really quick so I'm not sharing this designer's pattern on accident. There we go. Okay, it's this yarn right here. That looks really cool, but why do you think it's a scam? It looks like t-shirt yarn that's just like patterned, but is it a scam just because you could like make it yourself? Or what do you think? I haven't heard of anybody using it before. before, but I've seen it and I thought it was really cool looking. But the other thing is, like, I never work with that kind of yarn really, except for really specific projects. So let me know what you think. Why is it a scam, Kaylee? I'd love to hear it. Amber says, good morning. I hope everyone is having a great day. Thank you. Sorry, I just gotta make sure I'm doing the right thing really quick. I need a single crochet and then an increase twice, and then a single crochet in between, and then increase, then double crochet twice. Okay. And not actually double crochet. This pattern that I'm working with right now has UK terms, which I don't know why they use different terminology than we do, but they say double crochet, but when they say double crochet, they mean single crochet. And then when they say half treble crochet, they mean half double crochet. And obviously then when they say treble crochet, they mean double crochet. I don't know why they do it like that. It's kind of confusing. And I'm glad that I saw the note that it was in UK terminology, because otherwise I would have felt like I'm doing one of my AI challenges. And I would have been really confused. Amber says I'm working on a granny square Afghan. That's going to be nice. Jen says I love the colors you chose. That's going to look amazing. Laura says beautiful. Love your blanket. Well, thank you guys. Brianna is writing a pattern for a Valentine's throw pillow. That's going to be awesome. I hope that goes well for you. Catherine says, thank you, I would love to make that kind of stuff. Just subscribe to her. Yeah, she's Caroline Winkler. She is a very fun channel. Really like her stuff. Okay, sorry guys, I just keep getting distracted and then I get worried that I am not doing the correct thing. So I've got single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. This is supposed to not be an increase. See, this is why I gotta double check what I'm doing on stream. Increase, single crochet, increase, and then I should be smooth sailing to the rest of the round. Yep, okay. Crochet by Megco says I'm making mini cows. They're literally the size of the palm of my hand. That's gonna be really cool to have. Are you prepping them for market? Kaylee says you get nothing in the Bernat Fab skein and it's very expensive. Oh yeah, well I could see that with it. It's really bulky yarn, so I completely understand that. I'm sorry. What am I on? I am on round 6, and I get to do the same thing the whole round, but will I remember that? Probably not. Where did I leave off? Kaylee says it's $20 for a 30-gram skein. See, I don't really ever think of how many grams is, okay, 7 ounces. But then like the grams and ounces thing is always like really hard to understand, so I always look at yards. Yeah, 32 yards is nothing. 32 yards is nothing at all. You'd need like a ton of those skeins to make a single project, I bet, especially with it being so bulky. When you're working with bulky yarn, you're not typically making small projects, so I feel for you. I'm so sorry. Okay, increase time. Catherine says it looks cool. It would make great baskets. I agree. That's like one of the things that I think I would use it for, or like tote bags. Probably use it for tote bags. I made some projects over around Christmas for presents using t-shirt yarn, and it was like projects that needed a lot more structure than other projects that I work on, so I wanted big bulky t-shirt yarn, and luckily I had some sitting around. So I have also made t-shirt yarn in the past from like old t-shirts that I don't wear anymore. Have any of you guys made your own t-shirt yarn before? It's pretty easy. I will say it's really messy. It's always like way more messy than I'm expecting it to be, and I'm always covered in lint afterwards, and it's not like the small kind of lint, it's like big chunky lint that looks really gross. Okay, now I gotta do 3 rounds of just single crochet. Smooth sailing, guys. Smooth sailing. Catherine says, but unfortunately, I'm not buying any more yarn until all mine is gone. That is a hefty goal to live up to, Catherine. I feel like I saw this meme the other day, and it said, having all of my yarn, like it was showing, like, I think it was like Dwayne the Rock Johnson in the foreground, and in the background there were all these yarn shelves, and it was like looking at my yarn and only thinking of a project that I need to buy yarn for. Feel like that a lot of the time. I also have like option paralysis sometimes looking at all of the yarn colors that I have, especially if it's um, I get a little bit stumped by the fact that I have like a lot of different colors and specific um, a lot of different hues of one color. So for example, I have like a lot of pinks and a lot of blues behind me, but then like I don't have as many yellows or oranges, and that kind of stumps me sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I really want this specific color, but then I don't have it. So then I end up buying more yarn. So I get it. I get it. Brenna says there's some weird loud music playing. Well, I can turn it down. I'm sorry about that. I thought I had it kind of low. If you guys also don't like the music, I can change it to something else. But I just did some like soothing worship instrumental music. So if it's distracting, I can either turn it off or I can find something else. Just let me know. Sorry about that. I don't usually have it up as loud, but I configured like my audio settings a little bit differently today. So sorry. Catherine says, unfortunately, oh, I already saw that. Catherine has a lot of yarn. Same. Kaylee says, if you're able to afford it and or sell crochet for a higher amount, then it would be cool. But I think that they said you would need 4 skeins to make a child's hat, so that's like $100. Holy cow! That's ridiculous. That is not worth it. I feel like that would be a really, really thick hat too. Um, Kaylee said, random, but going back to last week, I joined a Bible study. Well, good. I have, my husband and I, we both go to separate Bible studies because there's like a women's only Bible study and he goes to a men's only Bible study. And then we also have like a monthly one that my husband leads. And we haven't met since November, I think. So we're going to start up again. I think this Saturday is when we scheduled it. So hopefully, anyway, I'm supposed to be hearing back from um, the one of the administrators at my church to see if we can reserve the space that we need that day. But that is when our young adults Bible study is going to be, and I'm very excited. We always host like a potluck style meal, and I make like the main entree, and then everybody brings like a side, a dessert, or a beverage, and we're gonna have taquitos. We're gonna have jalapeno popper taquitos, which whenever I make those, everybody's like blown away by them, and I don't really understand why because they're pretty simple. But I feel like I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to food, but they're always a huge hit. So I'm gonna make those, um, and we're just excited to meet with our young adult group and do some Bible study together. It'll be fun. Um, Catherine says Granny Square Afghan sounds beautiful. Thank you for the ideas. And Kaylee says I've never made my own t-shirt yarn, but that's such a good idea. Yeah, like I said, the only downside is just like the mess that it makes. And of course it all also takes a while. And I feel like if you're like me and most of your t-shirts are like size small or size medium, you don't really get a lot of yarn in the same color, unfortunately. So you have to, like, you're kind of forced to do like a scrap yarn type project where it's like just a bunch of different colors and there's not a really intentional color scheme. Unless you just have like a ton of t-shirts in the same color. That is not the boat that I'm sitting in though. Oh, we can't hear you now. Can you hear me now? Is that better? I just turned the the music off entirely, so hopefully that fixed it. I don't know what is going on today with the audio. When I first set up stream, the my audio, like my microphone audio was like just not even coming through. Not sure what that was about. So I hope you can hear me now. I'm so sorry. What I was saying is that my husband and I lead a Bible study, or mostly it's my husband leads the Bible study. And it's like a young adults Bible study, and then we both go to our own individual Bible studies. Um, like men and women separate Bible studies on Wednesday nights, and they start up again this Wednesday, and then our first young adults Bible study of the year is this Saturday. So very exciting, very exciting. Um, Jen says, I struggle with finding brown. I always have to search online. Yeah, before, I feel like Parfait Chunky didn't have that many browns, and then this past year they came out with so many browns, and they're all gorgeous. So it was so hard to pick a brown for my projects, but now I have so much variety in brown, but I am almost like completely run out of all of my browns now, so I'll have to reorder soon. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm so sorry. Okay, cool. I'm working on your test pattern, the fluffy filly. Oh, hi, Nikki. I didn't know what your name was before, so now I know your name is Nikki. Well, thank you for working on my pattern test. I hope you're enjoying it. Kaylee says, I always pray. I always have believed, but I want to learn more and embrace more of my spirituality. Yeah, I have a friend that's going through a really tough time recently, and I've been just trying to, like, she's been grappling with, like, if she is even, like, worthy of God's love, and if women in general are worthy of God's love, and if, like, yeah, a lot of stuff like that. And I've just been trying to show her, like, hey, this is what scripture says. And one of the things I always tell people all the time when they're talking about, like, how um, undervalued women are, I'm always like, well, in Genesis, God calls women a helper. And when you look at the Hebrew of that word helper, um, throughout, there's like 13 different references in scripture, and I know that because I use the Blue Letter Bible, and you're able to, it's an app, it's a free app, anybody can use it. But you can click on specific words and it'll show you where else in the Bible it uses that same translation of the word. And God is described as the same helper as women are when he first creates them. So I thought that was really cool. And it always is very encouraging to think God is the helper and women are helper. Um, so we should not think of ourselves as lesser than men just because we're supposed to be, um, subordinate to our husbands or whatever. Like, obviously, there's a role for a woman and there's a role for a man, and but we all have our own value, and that value is very great, and God still loves us regardless. So yeah, hopefully that is inspiring to some of you. If you haven't heard that before about the helper translation, it's cool to look at the Hebrew in that sense. Here is my little unicorn head right now. I'm ready to put eyes in. I'm probably going to do little um, 16 millimeter eyes. And unfortunately, I did something silly and I painted all of my eyes blue, but luckily that works out for this project since like the mane and the hooves that I'm going to do are blue. So we're going to have blue eyes. The reason that I painted them all blue is because I ran out of blue little washers in the correct size. So I had to go get go paint the backs of a bunch of safety eyes, so I had some blue. So we're doing blue, and I gotta put them in rounds between rounds five and six. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll put them here. Okay. Where are we in the chat? Pattern testing for Jenna currently. Jenna Tatu? Whew, what an achievement. What pattern are you testing for? Are you in her Patreon? Is that why you're testing? Or did she end up choosing you out of the thousands of people who apply? Kaylee says she loves acorn and apricot in Parfait Chunky. Yeah, those are really pretty colors. Apricot is gorgeous. And I wanted to reorder apricot, but they were completely sold out last time I tried to reorder. I'm not really liking what these eyes look like right now. Oof. They're like the safety eyes that don't have, like, the pupil isn't offset, so it's like just dead center, and you have to make sure that they're actually like sunk into the face, otherwise it doesn't do the thing where it like kind of follows you and like looks like it's sitting in the right place. But I'm not really liking these eyes. I might just do black. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I just do black or should I? It's kind of looking a little lizardy right now. And it's not a lizard, it's a unicorn. Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna read chat for a little bit. Teddy is probably my favorite, but I need to try more. Teddy was like the only one they had for so long. They just had Teddy and chocolate, and now they have a lot more. Jen says, I tend to stick with blanket yarn for the durability. My kids are rough. That's fair. Kaylee says, I'm currently going through a really tough time and trying to figure out how and why God would love me, etc. Yeah, that's the same thing that my friend is going through too. Diamond says, I got upset because I had to redo the wings. Everything else for the dragon is done. Oh, I'm sorry. Anything about my eyes? Should I stick with these eyes? Jen likes my eyes. Okay. I'm gonna do, I'll stick with the blue eyes even though I don't super like what they look like, but we're just gonna hope that it looks better later, but it sounds like you guys like them, so. Let's see. Jen says I need to tell my husband about that app. We talk about translations often when studying together. Yeah, my husband is always the one. Oh, they look so much better once I popped the washers in, guys. Oh, they look so much better. Just gotta trust the process. Yeah, my husband is usually the one who like tells me about the different translations of stuff. He in the past was trying to learn Greek just so that he could study like an interlinear Bible of the New Testament. And the interlinear, that's probably not the right way of saying it. That sounds so wrong, but it has the English and then the Greek side by side for each line, just so that you can see what the different translation differences are and how those things align. But he was doing like Duolingo for a really long time, just trying to learn Greek so that he could better understand it. But he hasn't been doing it for a while, but he still has all those resources and, yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of different like Bible study resources he's been collecting over the years to help him study. Yeah. Where did I leave off in the chat? Kaylee loves the eyes. Diamond loves the eyes. I tend to pick blue a lot, but I don't know why. They look so nice. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I just don't want to pick blue because I pick them so often. I'm like, blue is too easy. But most of the time, when I do end up picking blue, it looks right. They just pop more sometimes than other colors. Uh, Meg says they look good. Well, thank you guys for the validation. I was so worried they weren't gonna look good. And yeah. Jen says, trust the process, as they say. Yeah, I always have to tell myself that. I took like a lot of art classes in high school and in college, and I always remember my teachers would be like, you're not allowed to erase, and um, you're just supposed to trust the process, basically, they said a lot. And I feel like as an adult, that has helped me understand, like, hey, it's not always going to look pretty, but it'll probably turn out well in the end if you just don't be so harsh on yourself. Yeah. Not Not Made says, what don't you like about the eyes? It was just before I put them in, they just looked a little like amphibian because these eyes are sinker eyes. I don't like sinker eyes as much. At least when they're not when they don't have like the offset pupil. So all of the plushies behind me have offset pupil safety eyes, and what that means, if you don't understand what offset pupil means, is just that instead of the black part of the eye being like dead center in the eyes like these are, except it doesn't look like that anymore on this because they're sinker and they're doing what they're supposed to now that they're um, punched in there all the way. But it sits like to the left or the right of the eye, so it looks like it's looking at you instead of just like looking straight ahead. And what I don't like about these in particular, when they don't sink in properly, is it just looks like the eyes are like it looks like a dead animal or something. Because they don't follow you. I don't know, but these seem to like follow you when you like shift it around. You can see like the pupil is like moving because of the way that these are made. They're dead center in the eye, but because they're a sinker eye and the glass is curved, or I guess the resin is curved, um, they seem to like follow you because of this like fisheye effect that it's giving. But anyway, there's my tiny little unicorn head done. Now I've got to make ears, except I'm actually going to skip that because I need to. Oh, that was something I was going to talk about on stream today is the some of the things that I've been doing in the free pattern review series are going to change a little bit, and it's not changing for the worse. I've just gotten a lot of feedback, especially on my last video, about like a lot of designers, pattern designers, feeling like I was showing too much of their patterns on screen, or they felt like what I was doing was technically reposting their pattern, and that is definitely not the case in my opinion, but I don't want to step on people's toes and I don't want people to think that I'm like stealing their hard work and giving it out in a format that they don't want it to be in. So what I've been doing for this video in particular is I'm actually like filming myself working on the plushie and showing instances where in my notes there might be like a problem that I'm trying to illustrate, and I'm just showing that on camera as I'm making it instead. And that way I don't like people don't think that I am stealing their work and sharing it and things like that. Like I don't want that to be the case at all. And something else that I am also going to do for FPR going forward is when I do show screenshots of the pattern, I am going to blur out most of the actual picture of the pattern itself or the screenshot of the pattern itself, just because a lot of the time it doesn't help to see the whole thing anyway, because I'm talking about a very specific part of that page, and if I'm showing the whole page, it's also kind of just um, contributing to the fact that people think I'm like reposting their content, and that's definitely not the intention. And I really don't think that people who watch my videos are gonna like sit there and pause the video every time that there's like a page that comes up and try to make it as I go, but I don't want to make people upset. So I hope that helps. But one of the reason I'm not gonna do the I said I'm not gonna do the ears right now, and then I start working on the ears. But the reason I'm not gonna do the ears right now is because I need to film um, that section just so that people know what I'm talking about in the notes without sharing too much of the pattern, if that makes sense. um, Diamond says, is it just me that uh, makes mistakes in crochet and has to redo stuff? Well, no. Obviously, I'm making mistakes right now and having to redo stuff over and over again. So it's not just you. And there's a lot of people out there that, like, even though they've been crocheting for a really long time, they still have issues with things. So definitely not just you. So don't feel super bad about it. Looks like Not Made also encouraged her, so thank you. Um, Jen says, "Oh no, I make mistakes. You are not alone." Thank you guys for being so supportive of other chat members. That's so nice of you. Um, Nightmare Poodle says, "First live I've ever made it to after finding your channel. Sadly, I've been experiencing a bit of crochet burnout, so I'm not making anything currently, and I love those eyes." Well, I'm sorry that you're having burnout. At least it isn't like you can't physically crochet, you just like are a little bit tired of it right now. Um, because I've seen a lot of creators over the past year or so that have like posted about like they can't crochet anymore because they have a wrist injury. And I feel really bad for those people because I love crochet so much and I know they love crochet a lot, and some people have like built their entire like career around it and then they have to like step back and not do it anymore. Like 1 Cent Crochet, I was a huge fan of, I still am a huge fan of 1 Cent Crochet, but she can't crochet anymore. At least not as much as she used to. Like she was putting out free patterns on her YouTube all the time. She's just like a wonderful creator and she had to step back from making crochet content because she has a wrist injury, but she's still doing like film stuff. She said she's still working on like I think she was going to school for film and she's still working on stuff like that. So I'm happy that she still has like a passion to do something else and crochet wasn't like her only option. Catherine says, "I have so much of it that when I'm done with Demi Pearl, Bernat Blanket, Posh Pearl, and Baby Bear yarn, I'll start working on my acrylic yarn. I'll be making sweaters with it." I also like the wheat stitch. I haven't heard of the wheat stitch before, but that sounds very cool. Um, yeah, I've been trying to, like, I haven't really bought any more acrylic yarn because I barely ever use it, but I have so much because after I started, like, crocheting first for my small business and everything, and people found out about that, there were so many people who were like, "I have all this yarn and I don't use it." And every time I was so excited, but it's always just been acrylic yarn. So I have, like, all this mystery acrylic yarn that didn't come with labels and I never know what it is, but I'm like, okay, I guess I'm working on FPRs and I'll use up this worsted weight in acrylic yarn eventually just by using it for the smallest version of each project every time. Um, Nightmare Poodle says a fun thing I do is do a heterochromia kind of thing. I love chromatic. Wow, that's so hard to say, guys. Chromatic eyes, when one eye is one color and the other is a different color. That's always really cool. I've done that once with a plushie and it looked so cool. But that's a great idea. Kaylee says, "No matter what people are going to be mad or negative, I honestly felt like you have been promoting the patterns and their designers, honestly. People take it really personally when mistakes are pointed out rather than taking it as constructive, you know." I think that that's more of what it is. People feel bad to have mistakes pointed out and don't realize you're not being malicious low key. Yeah. There was one creator specifically in the last pattern review that got really, really upset that I pointed out that something was an error in the pattern and they felt like that there wasn't an error in the pattern. And that creator ended up blocking me on Instagram. Um, I feel like I was being very fair. I was being very kind, but they were acting like I was trying to um, like clout chase and get followers by mentioning her patterns, and she was also just really genuinely upset that I mentioned that anything negative at all was happening with her pattern. And the other thing about that too was I have featured that creator's patterns in past pattern reviews and reviewed them very nicely and gave like a 5-star review. And the creator was so happy about that that she like reposted my video in her Instagram story and stuff and told people to go watch it. But once I had anything negative to say, she was like saying that I was lying, and she was even trying to say that like hundreds of people have made the pattern before and that nobody's ever pointed out that there's been any issue with the pattern. And it was like a pretty minor thing, but she was unhappy with the way that I presented it, specifically like the color of the text that I showed on screen. She was very upset that it was red. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not lying. Like, it is something that I encountered, and I made the pattern 3 times, so I can't say that it wasn't real if I was encountering it over and over again. But all that being said, I just want to, um, like, after that creator had mentioned those things to me in the comment section, and then I, like, reached out to her in DMs and was trying to address the issue and trying to kind of make her feel better about this situation. It seemed like there were like loads of other people from that same video who were all of a sudden like commenting saying that I was sharing too much of their pattern and all this stuff. So I have a feeling that um, that creator got upset and then started telling all the other creators that were featured in the video about their pattern being featured, and then it just became like this big bully session kind of. But I ended up blurring a lot of stuff that was in the video, like post it being posted after it being posted on YouTube, to kind of try to make up for some of the things that were valid concerns. Like, for example, I didn't realize that I showed most of somebody's pattern or all of somebody's pattern in the screenshots that I provided. Um, so I ended up blurring those sections so that it wasn't like the entire pattern being shown, or it wasn't any of the pattern being shown. In one of the cases where one of the creators just said, I don't want my pattern reposted at all, take it down. And I was like, well, I can't take the video down because this is my livelihood, but I can blur the parts that I was talking about if it's that much of an issue for you. And that seemed to kind of resolve the issue. But it's still really discouraging when those kind of things happen and those creators aren't understanding about the intent of the video. It's not like intended to make fun of the creators for having issues in their patterns. It's just mostly a resource for people who are writing their own patterns so that they understand like what all goes into what makes a good pattern and what things you should include to make the patterns easier to understand and things like that, because there's not like a class out there. There's nobody out there saying like, hey, this is how to make your pattern easy for everybody to understand. It's kind of like there's definitely a huge learning curve of like, if you're continuously making patterns and they're successful, like you'll learn in the future like, okay, this is what people like and this is what people don't like. But when you're making your first pattern ever, you don't really have anything to go off of except for like examples. And I feel like a lot of the time people don't understand what makes a good pattern good. So that was the intention of the free pattern review series. And it seems like sometimes people just get hurt feelings and they don't understand why I'm doing it. Like, they think that I'm just like trying to do it so that I get views, but that's not the case. I'm just trying to be helpful for other people looking for free patterns to use. Um, anyway, where am I in the chat, guys? I read all of Kaylee's messages. Not Made says it's challenging to accept critical feedback, even if it's meant to make it better. Yeah. Um, she also said the wheat stitch is gorgeous. I'd like to use it for a blanket or throw blankets sometime. That'll be nice. I have a goal this year to crank through my acrylic yarn using my knitting machine to make beanies. Yeah, I haven't used my knitting machine in so long. I got that 2 years ago and I just haven't used it again recently. Just because it's like a lot of manual labor. I thought it was going to be saving me time, but it's also like really loud. I wish they had one that wasn't so loud. And then the other thing that I kept encountering was like sometimes my knitting machine would drop stitches and I have no experience knitting other than using this machine and I just like wouldn't understand how to fix it. So then I just have to start all the way over every time. Yeah. Brenna K, I love her patterns. I'm making wheat stitch ear warmers. You should try it. You'll love it. I'll write that down right now because I don't really have a need for ear warmers, but I feel like that would be like good Christmas presents next year. Wheat stitch ear warmers. Amber says, I really appreciate when you use acrylic because that's typically what I use. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot recently is a lot of people talking about how they enjoy that I include that because I feel like there's people out there that don't use chenille at all. And that's completely fair and completely valid. I've noticed a lot like heirloom looking plushies look a lot better using acrylic and worsted weight yarns as well. So I'm really happy that people enjoy me including those and that I'm able to represent like a wide variety of what a pattern can look like using different yarns as well. Kaylee says, yeah, people associate their art with themselves as people, so they take it super personally. Not Made says the dropped stitches are a pain, but you can usually fix it with a crochet hook. Yeah, I've tried. It's a lot easier said than done, in my opinion. Because sometimes I'll like try to fix it with a crochet hook and then I like lose the tension. And that's really frustrating to me. It's really frustrating, like in my opinion, when I have a project that I don't have a lot of experience in and then I encounter issues and I have like no idea how to fix it because I am a fixer and I get like set on something and I can't leave it alone until I fixed it or I finished it. I have a lot of trouble a lot of the time when I'm like editing a video, I have a hard time stepping away if I'm like, I have this perfect solution to this graphics issue and I want to get it all done in like one sitting so I don't forget about it later. Um, there have been days where I'm like editing a YouTube video and I look up at the time and it's like 7 p.m. and I'm like, man, I should just stop. But I have a hard time stepping away. Um, yeah. So, anyway, I've gotten this tiny little bit of unicorn horn done and I think the row that I am on for it is a non increase round. So it should stop looking like a little flat piece soon, but I had to rant about the free pattern review series and I get a little heated when I think about when I think about concerns some people have about it and just like not understanding where I'm coming from. As I'm sure all of you completely understand. Brianna says, I honestly learned so much from your FPR videos. I watched them for about a year when I started writing my own, and I feel like it helped me know a lot about writing patterns before I started. Yeah, I've also gotten like videos in the past, specifically people asking me um how like teach them how to write a pattern. And I haven't even thought about the fact that I could just refer them to the free pattern review series before because I feel like that's kind of like a roundabout way of telling them like, hey, you can learn how to write patterns just by learning what I don't like about patterns or what I do like about certain patterns. Um, but that's a good idea just to like tell people like, hey, I kind of you will learn a lot about pattern writing just by watching the free pattern review series. But I think a lot of the time what people don't really understand about not free pattern writing, but pattern writing in general is just like how you do it. Like how do you keep track of what you're doing? How do you decide whether you like what something looks like or you don't? Or like how you edit it down to a pattern that ends up looking like that, for example. Because this penguin went through like 3 or 4 iterations where I changed things up because I wanted it to be like lower so, or I wanted it to just like look a little bit differently. The wings themselves went through a bunch of different revisions to make them look right, and that's all part of the process. And I guess that's part of what you don't really see in the free pattern review series is actually like the writing of the pattern, not I have the pattern already written up. How do I format it to make it understandable to other people? Um, so yeah, it's something I want to consider doing in the future is actually doing like a full video of like how to write a pattern. And when I do that, I want to make sure it's a free pattern so that I can show like the entire process and not just um, kind of being secretive about what I show because it's going to be like a paid pattern or something. Um, Maria says, I don't understand why the creators are getting upset that you show their patterns. The patterns are free. Yeah, that's what I've pointed out to them as well, is like they put their pattern out there for free. I understand as a creator on Instagram that I wouldn't want like somebody on Instagram, for example, there's tons of repost accounts on Instagram that all their entire account is just dedicated to taking the pattern photos from somebody else's account and just reposting them there. And I understand why they do it. It's just so that like people who are looking for free patterns can find them all in one place, but that is just such a cheap way of gaining followers and like monetization on Instagram, and I just don't support that at all. And I think that's what these creators are battling against when they see that their pattern made it into one of my videos and like I've talked about it, but there's a disconnect between them understanding that I'm not reposting it and it doesn't even really make sense for somebody to watch my video to make their pattern, and them understanding that it's fair use. Like I'm taking their content and I'm reviewing it. That is fair use. And I don't think people understand that. So, unfortunately, that is the case a lot of the time. Catherine says I have 4 knitting machines with the crankshaft that goes on it, so you don't have to manually have to do it, and they all put away. I'm not sure if I completely understand, but it sounds like you have like a crankshaft that makes it so that you don't really have to manually wind it, which sounds really nice. And they are a good way to use up yarn. She agrees. So yeah, that's great. Not says, I am totally intimidated by the thought of writing a pattern. And you're not alone in that. Like, I feel intimidated in writing a pattern, even though I've written a lot of patterns. It's still really intimidating every time that I do it because I have to sit down and like use my brain a lot. And I feel like as crocheters, we don't really have to think about really anything aside from like how to make the stitches and what colors we should be using. And you don't have to like critically think about what you're doing to make it look a certain way. And I think that's why it's so intimidating, is because we're not used to turning on that part of our brain that tells us like, hey, we need to create something new and not just like do the same thing that people are already showing us how to do. Amber says not same not made. It is so intimidating to me. Yeah. PLM Design says I've been on YouTube for a while now, since 2009, and I just found your channel. I love your review series because it's giving me some insight on how crochet has really changed over the years. Yeah, specifically the whole amigurumi thing taking off a lot, and how before it wasn't like as widely expected to have projects that are less sewing intensive. That's definitely changed. Um, yeah, so yeah, I agree. It's cool to see how like pattern writing in general has changed and how different trends have changed as well. Kaylee says random, but how are your animals all doing? Okay, I'll answer this last question. Oh, I love the idea of making amigurumi patterns for them. Yes. So Colt, Colt, my elder dog, he is 13 years old. He's doing well. He's been battling some just like allergies recently, so he's been a little bit itchy. He's been having to get a bath every week to kind of help with that. Ray is doing well. She's crazy as always. She keeps trying to sleep in our bed when we're not home, which is it's always surprising because we get home and we like get ready to change into like comfy clothes and the pillows are all just like all over the bed because she nested in our bed while we were gone, and it's cute because she misses us, but at the same time she sheds a whole lot. Chickens are all doing well. Our younger chickens have started laying eggs, and they're all like really tiny, which is hilarious. Um, and all of our older chickens have finished molting, so they're back into laying a whole bunch of eggs again. So right over like the winter season, but like fall season into December, we were only getting like maybe 2 eggs every other day, and now we're back up into like 7 eggs a day, which is hard to keep up with between two people, specifically because I don't really eat eggs much at all unless it's like baked into a recipe or something. So, anyway, I am very sorry, but I do have to get off stream. I have to go make lunch. But I always enjoy chatting with you guys and hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed today's live. If you did, make sure you also like the video if you haven't already. It'll help a lot to get the replay of the live stream shown to other people, and you can also comment like your favorite part of the live if you also want to help out with the algorithm a little as well. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and your week. And next week we have a new video. It'll be a Wheel of Amigurumi video, which you guys haven't seen since I actually announced that I was going to be posting videos every other week. So stay tuned for that next Tuesday. It's a really exciting video. I really love making Wheel of Amigurumi videos. So make sure you check that out next week. And with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great